Commander Gray stood at the bridge of his massive warship, the Dreadspine, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue planet ahead, Earth, the final obstacle in his species' grand conquest of the galaxy. His thick, armored skin reflected the dim light of the bridge as he reviewed the intelligence reports one last time. "Show me the footage again," he ordered, his deep voice echoing through the command center. The holographic display flickered to life, showing scenes from Earth's surface. The images that appeared made his soldiers shift uncomfortably. Humans walking side by side with beasts. Small ones, large ones, furry ones, creatures they willingly kept in their homes. The aliens watched in horror as these beasts slept in human beds, ate from their hands, and even received affection from human children. "Barbaric," Gray's second-in-command whispered. "They live with natural predators and call them," what was that word again? "Pets," Gray said, his upper lip curling in disgust. "They call them pets." He had conquered 3 galaxies, defeated 17 civilizations, but never had he encountered a species so primitive that they would share their living spaces with wild animals. The largest screen showed a human dwelling where a massive beast with sharp teeth lay beside a sleeping human child. The beast's fur was golden, its ears pointed forward, and its eyes alert despite its relaxed posture. According to their data, humans called this type a dog. "Their weakness for these creatures will be their downfall," Gray declared, turning to face his crew. "Every great civilization we've encountered knew better than to trust wild beasts. They built walls, created barriers, maintained the natural order. But humans?" He gestured to the screen. "They've broken that order. They've made themselves vulnerable." One of his junior officers stepped forward, clutching a datapad. "Sir, our latest scans show something unusual. Many of their military installations have dedicated facilities for these beasts. They're not just in their homes. They're in their armies." Gray's interest peaked. "Explain." "They train them, sir. These dogs particularly. They use them for various military purposes. But recently, there's been increased activity around these facilities. Energy signatures we can't quite identify." The commander walked to the ship's main viewport, his clawed hands clasped behind his back. The Earth hung there, peaceful and blue, unaware of the doom approaching. His ship wasn't alone. Behind the Dreadspine, 5,000 warships waited for his command, the largest invasion fleet ever assembled. "They think these beasts make them strong," Gray said softly. "Let them think that. When our ships darken their skies, when our weapons rain fire upon their cities, let's see how their precious pets save them." He turned back to his crew, standing tall, his ceremonial armor gleaming. "Send word to all ships. We attack at dawn, Earth time. Let them wake to their last sunrise." His mouth curved into what his species considered a smile, a baring of sharp teeth. "And make sure our cameras record everything. I want the galaxy to see what happens when primitives who sleep with beasts face a true civilized army." As his crew rushed to carry out his orders, Gray remained at the viewport, studying the planet below. 17 worlds had fallen to him, their armies broken, their civilizations added to the glory of his empire. Earth would be no different. In fact, he mused, this might be the easiest conquest yet. How strong could a species be when they were so weak they needed the company of wild animals? How fierce could their warriors be when they shared their homes with beasts? The answer was obvious to him. They were pathetic, soft, unworthy of the stars they had reached for. Little did Commander Gray know, as he stood there plotting humanity's downfall, that he was about to learn a lesson about what truly made a civilization strong, and it would come from the very creatures he despised most. The coming dawn would bring much more than Earth's last sunrise. It would bring a revelation that would shake the mighty Commander Gray's world to its very core. The Earth Defense Force's main control room buzzed with activity as screens lit up with warnings. Captain Tom Wells stood calmly at the center, his weathered face illuminated by the red emergency lights. Behind him, a large German shepherd sat alertly, its eyes fixed on the main display. "Sir," The alien fleet is broadcasting, a young operator announced. They're demanding to speak with Earth's leaders. Wells nodded, scratching behind his dog's ears. Put them through, Johnson. Let's see what they have to say. The main screen flickered to life, revealing Commander Gray's imposing figure. His 4 eyes narrowed at the sight of the dog beside Wells. So the reports are true, he said, voice tripping with disgust. You really do keep beasts in your command centers. Wells looked down at his companion and smiled. This is Rex. He's my partner, not a beast. Partner. Gray's laugh was harsh and metallic. Your primitive nature shows itself clearly. I am Commander Gray of the Galactic Armada. We have conquered 3 galaxies, 17 civilizations, all of them more advanced than yours. He leaned forward, but none so barbaric as to put their trust in wild animals. The control room remained silent as Gray continued. Your species has 1 standard Earth hour to surrender. Submit to our rule, and we will teach you the proper way of civilization. Resist, and we will show you what real power looks like. Wells kept his hand on Rex's head, feeling the dog's steady presence. That's an interesting offer, Commander. But I have a question first. His calm tone seemed to irritate Gray. In these 3 galaxies you've conquered, did you ever wonder why humans were the only ones who formed bonds with other species? Gray's upper lip curled. Because you are primitive, unable to stand on your own, so you enslave lesser creatures for comfort. Enslave. Wells chuckled, and Rex wagged his tail at his human's amusement. Commander, have you ever heard the Earth saying dogs are man's best friend? Your point. My point is that humanity didn't conquer dogs or cats or any of our animal companions. We formed partnerships, friendships, bonds that have lasted thousands of years. Wells straightened, his voice firm. And if you think that makes us weak, you're about to learn a very interesting lesson. Gray's face twisted with rage. You dare lecture me? Your hour begins now. When it ends, we will show you what happens to those who choose beasts over civilization. The transmission cut off abruptly. Wells turned to his crew, all of whom had their own canine partners at their sides. Well, folks, I guess it's time to show them what humanity and our best friends can do together. Signal all Earth defense ships. Begin Operation Faithful Friend. Throughout the control room, humans and dogs moved in perfect sync. The dogs weren't just pets or mascots. Each wore a sleek neural interface collar that connected them to both their human partner and their ship's systems. Years of research and love had created something unique in the galaxy. A true partnership between species. Sir, Johnson called out, his own border collie alerting to something on their screen. The alien fleet is moving into attack formation. 5,000 ships, just as our scouts reported. Wells nodded, watching as Earth's defense fleet took position. Each ship carried human canine teams, their neural links allowing for reaction times and coordination that no single species could achieve alone. Send word to all ships. Prepare for combat, but hold position until my mark. Rex stood up, his posture alert but calm. Through their neural link, Wells could feel his partner's steady confidence. No fear, no doubt, just the unwavering loyalty and courage that had made dogs humanity's closest allies for millennia. They think we're primitives because we share our lives with dogs, Wells said to his crew. Let's show them what happens when 2 species choose to work together instead of conquering each other. As the alien fleet approached, Wells couldn't help but smile. Commander Gray thought he was facing a primitive species that kept pets. Instead, he was about to face something unprecedented in his experience, a partnership that had evolved over thousands of years of trust, love, and mutual respect. The hour of ultimatum ticked away, but Earth's defenders stood ready. The greatest test of the human-canine bond was about to begin. Commander Gray watched with satisfaction as the hour of ultimatum expired. The humans had not surrendered, exactly as he had expected. Their primitive attachment to beasts had made them foolishly brave. All ships, begin the attack, he ordered. Show them what real power looks like. The alien fleet moved forward like a massive wave of darkness, their weapons charging. The human ships remained in formation, seemingly calm in the face of overwhelming odds. Gray found their lack of fear irritating. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the human fleet. They're opening their launch bays." Gray smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "So they want to fight. Let them launch their fighters. It will make their defeat more." He stopped mid-sentence, his four eyes widening at what appeared on the screen. Small, two-seat fighter craft were indeed launching from the human ships, but what made Gray's skin pale was what his sensors showed inside them. Each craft had a human pilot, and a dog in the co-pilot's seat. "This is Captain Wells to all Earth Defense Forces." The human commander's voice came through clear and confident. "Release the hounds." The small fighters suddenly burst into action, moving with impossible speed and precision. Gray watched in shock as they weaved through his fleet's formation, their maneuvers defying everything he knew about spacecraft combat. "Sir, we can't lock onto them," his weapons officer shouted. "Their movement patterns are completely unpredictable." Through the command screen, Gray could see inside one of the human fighters. The dog, a large German shepherd, sat in a specially designed co-pilot seat, its eyes glowing slightly from the neural interface. As the human pilot handled the main controls, the dog's enhanced senses and instincts helped guide the craft, predicting enemy movements and finding paths through the chaos that no computer could calculate. "Impossible," Gray whispered. "They're using the beasts, too, to pilot." The reality was even more impressive than that. Years of living with dogs had taught humans something unique: how to trust another species completely. The neural links didn't just connect dogs to machines, they connected them to their human partners. Each fighter was guided by two minds working as one, combining human strategy with canine instinct. "Sir, we've lost contact with Attack Group 7, an officer reported. "These human craft, they're moving in ways our targeting systems can't handle." Gray watched as his mighty fleet struggled against the smaller human forces. Where his ships moved in rigid, precise formations, the human canine fighters flowed like water, adapting and reacting with incredible speed. A golden retriever co-pilot would sense an incoming attack before instruments could detect it. A border collie's natural herding instincts would help trap enemy ships in brilliant tactical maneuvers. "This is not possible," Gray muttered, his confidence cracking. "They're just beasts, primitive creatures." But as he watched the battle unfold, he began to understand his mistake. These weren't just beasts. These were creatures that had evolved alongside humans for thousands of years. Their species had grown together, learned together, formed bonds deeper than any conquest could create. "All ships, concentrate fire," Gray ordered desperately. "They're just small fighters. We have the numbers." But numbers meant little against the unprecedented combination of human intelligence and canine instinct. Each human dog team moved with perfect unity, their neural link allowing them to react faster than any single pilot could. Through his command screens, Gray could see the human pilots patting their canine partners between maneuvers, the dogs responding with happy barks even in the middle of battle. They weren't fighting with fear or desperate courage. They were working together with joy, with trust, with a bond his species had never imagined possible. The mighty alien commander, who had conquered 3 galaxies, was beginning to learn a harsh lesson about the true meaning of civilization, and it was being taught to him by the very beasts he had dismissed. The battle raged across space, but not in the way Commander Gray had expected. His mighty fleet, which had crushed 17 civilizations, was being outmaneuvered by fighters that seemed to defy the laws of space combat. Inside one of these fighters, Lieutenant Mike Wilson and his co-pilot Buck, a sturdy Labrador retriever, demonstrated exactly why the human canine teams were so effective. As 3 alien ships closed in on them, Buck's ears perked up, sensing danger through the neural link before the warning systems could alert them. "Good boy, Buck," Wilson said as they smoothly dodged the incoming fire. Through their neural connection, he felt Buck's joy at the praise mix with his focused determination. The dog's enhanced mind processed spatial movements in ways no human could, while Wilson's tactical training guided their response. On the Dreadspine's bridge, Gray watched in growing frustration as another squadron of his ships fell into disarray. "How?" he demanded. "How are they predicting our movements?" His tactical officer, studying the sensor readings, finally understood. "Sir, it's the dogs. Their brains, they're not just linked to the humans. They're processing space combat like it's a hunt or a game. They're using instincts that evolved over thousands of years." In another fighter, Sarah Cooper and her border collie, Dash, showed exactly what those instincts could do. Border collies have been bred for generations to herd sheep, anticipating their movements and guiding them. Now, through the neural interface, Dash applied those same instincts to space combat. The duo herded enemy ships into positions where Earth's larger vessels could easily target them. "Look at their attack patterns," Gray's science officer noted, displaying the data. "The human provides strategy and technical skills, while the dog adds instinct and spatial awareness. Together, they're achieving reaction times that should be impossible." The neural links weren't just simple connections. They were the result of decades of research into the special bond between humans and dogs. Scientists had discovered that dogs could understand human emotions and intentions in ways no other species could. The neural interface simply built upon what nature had already created over thousands of years of companionship. Back in the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Captain Wells and Rex monitored the battle's progress. Through their neural link, Wells could feel Rex's excitement and pride as reports came in of successful engagements across the battlefield. Other dogs in the command center barked in celebration as another alien squadron was forced to retreat. "Sir," Johnson reported, his border collie alerting him to new data, "the enemy fleet is falling into disarray. They can't adapt to our fighting style because there's nothing in their combat database that matches it." Wells smiled, reaching down to scratch Rex's ears. "Of course not. They've spent their time conquering and dominating other species. They never learned what it means to work together, to trust, to form real bonds." In his fighter, Wilson and Buck continued their deadly dance through space. When Buck sensed an ambush forming, Wilson trusted his partner's instincts without hesitation. When Wilson saw a tactical opportunity, Buck understood his plan through their link and adjusted instantly. They moved as one being, their minds synchronized through technology, but united by something far older, trust and friendship. Commander Gray watched helplessly as his carefully planned formations broke apart. His ships, designed for traditional space combat, couldn't handle the unpredictable, instinct-driven maneuvers of the human canine teams. Every attempt to establish a pattern or predict their movements failed because each dog brought its own unique instincts and personality to the fight. "Sir," his second-in-command spoke quietly, "perhaps we should consider retreat. These humans, and their partners, they fight in ways we never prepared for." Gray stood silently, watching the battle unfold. For the first time in his long career of conquest, he was facing something he couldn't understand. Two species working together not through domination or control, but through mutual trust and love. And it was proving stronger than all his empire's military might. As the battle continued in space, Captain Wells' mind drifted back to the day, 15 years ago, when humanity first discovered the true potential of their bond with dogs. He had been there, a young lieutenant then, working at the Global Research Center. The breakthrough hadn't come from military research or weapons development. Instead, it came from Dr. Anna Miller, a scientist who simply wanted to help her elderly golden retriever, Max, who was going blind. "I just want to see through his eyes," she had told Wells during their first meeting. "To understand what he needs, to help him navigate." Her love for her dog had led to the development of the first neural interface, designed not for war, but for compassion. Wells remembered the first test as if it were yesterday. Dr. Miller had put on the prototype interface, connected to Max's specially designed collar. The moment the connection activated, tears rolled down her face. "I can feel his love," she had whispered. "Not just sense it. I can actually feel how much he loves me." The memory shifted to 6 months later, when the breakthrough's true potential became clear. During a routine test flight, a pilot with his dog in the cockpit had accidentally activated his neural interface. Instead of causing confusion, the dog's natural spatial awareness had merged perfectly with the pilot's training, creating something entirely new. Back in the present, Wells watched through the command center's windows as another group of human canine fighters executed a perfect defensive maneuver. "We never designed this for combat," he said quietly to Rex. "We just wanted to understand each other better." On the main screen, reports showed how different breeds brought different strengths to the battle. German Shepherds' protective instincts made them excellent defenders. Border Collies' herding abilities helped coordinate complex fleet movements. Retrievers' natural focus and determination made them perfect for precision strikes. But it wasn't just about using dogs as tools, something Commander Gray and his forces still couldn't understand. The neural link worked because of the deep trust that already existed between humans and dogs, a trust built over thousands of years, since the first wolf decided to share its life with humans. "Sir," Johnson called out, his voice pulling Wells back to the present. "We're getting reports from the civilian defense networks. Even the civilian dogs are helping." Wells nodded, remembering how the program had expanded. Police dogs, rescue dogs, service dogs, all had been given neural interfaces, not for combat, but to help them better serve and protect. When the alien threat appeared, these teams had volunteered alongside military units. Through the command screens, Wells could see evidence of this civilian spirit. A former search and rescue team, human and dog working in perfect sync, diving through debris to save a damaged ship's crew. A police dog handler duo coordinating evacuation efforts with incredible efficiency. "They never understood," Wells said to Rex, who sat alertly by his side. "The neural tech just enhanced what was already there. The loyalty, the trust, the friendship that took thousands of years to build." In his mind, Wells saw another memory. His first meeting with Rex as a puppy, long before the neural interfaces, before the war, before everything. Just a man and a dog, looking at each other and feeling that ancient connection that had linked their species since the dawn of civilization. The aliens had conquered 17 worlds through force and dominance, but they had never encountered a force like this. Two species that had chosen to grow together, to trust each other, to form bonds stronger than any weapon. As reports of more alien ships retreating filled the command center, Wells scratched Rex's ears. The neural link let him feel his partner's simple joy even in the middle of battle, that pure love that had made dogs humanity's best friends since before recorded history. "Good boy," Wells whispered, knowing that these simple words, backed by thousands of years of trust and partnership, held more power than all the alien empire's mighty weapons. Commander Gray stood motionless on his bridge, watching his mighty fleet fall apart. The Dreadspine shook as another volley of hits struck their shields. His 4 eyes tracked the impossible movements of the human canine fighters as they danced through space around his larger ships. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, voice shaking, "we've lost contact with the entire 3rd Battle Group. These humans, they're not just fighting us. He paused, searching for words, "they're playing with us." Gray zoomed in on one of the fighter screens. A chocolate Labrador sat in the co-pilot seat, tongue lolling out happily even as it helped guide the craft through a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible. The dog wasn't stressed or afraid. It was enjoying itself. "Show me their neural link data again," Gray commanded. His scientists had finally managed to analyze the strange technology the humans were using. What they found had shaken him to his core. The data streamed across his screen. The neural links weren't forcing the dogs to obey human commands. They weren't control devices or tools of domination. Instead, they simply allowed both species to share their thoughts and feelings naturally, building on a bond that had existed long before the technology. "Sir," an officer shouted, "a group of fighters has broken through our defenses. They're approaching the bridge." Gray watched as 3 fighters approached, led by a craft he recognized from earlier transmissions. Captain Wells and his German shepherd, Rex. The human's voice came through clear on the command channel. "Commander Gray, your fleet is scattered. Your tactics have failed. Would you like to discuss surrender terms?" Gray's first instinct was to rage, to fight to the last ship. But something made him pause. Through the video feed, he could see Rex sitting calmly in the co-pilot's seat, alert but not aggressive. The dog's neural interface glowed softly, and Gray could see the complete trust between the animal and its human partner. "I don't understand," Gray finally said. "You could have used this technology to control them, to bend them to your will, to make them perfect weapons. Why didn't you?" Wells' laugh was kind, not mocking. "Because that's not what partnership means, Commander. We didn't want to control our dogs. We wanted to understand them better, to strengthen a bond that already existed." As if to demonstrate, Rex turned to Wells and licked his face, causing the human to smile even in the middle of this tense standoff. Through their neural link, every human on the bridge could feel the pure joy and love the dog felt for its partner. Gray's second-in-command stepped forward. "Sir, we're receiving similar reports from all sectors. These human canine teams, they're not just better fighters. They understand space in ways our computers can't predict. They react faster than our best pilots. And He paused. "They seem to be having fun doing it." Fun. Gray's voice carried his disbelief. "In the middle of a battle." "Watch them, sir," his officer said quietly. "Every human dog team moves like they're playing a game. Their neural links don't just share thoughts, they share emotions. The dog's joy in working with their partners, their natural playfulness combined with their protective instincts, it's created something we've never seen before." Gray stared at the main screen, seeing his mighty invasion fleet now scattered and surrounded by the smaller human ships. Each human canine team moved with perfect coordination, their bonds of friendship proving stronger than his empire's rigid military discipline. "Perhaps," Gray said slowly, his worldview shifting, "we were wrong about what makes a civilization advanced." He watched as another dog happily pawed at its human partner after a successful maneuver. Perhaps the ability to form true bonds with other species. Perhaps that's a greater achievement than conquest. 3 days after the battle, Commander Gray found himself in an unusual position. Instead of presiding over the conquest of Earth, he was walking through the corridors of the Earth Defense Force headquarters, surrounded by humans and their canine partners. What struck him most wasn't the advanced technology or the military efficiency. It was the sound of happy barking echoing through the halls, the sight of powerful military dogs stopping to play with children who had come to visit their parents at work. "It's still hard to believe," Gray said to Captain Wells, who walked beside him with Rex. "In all our conquests, we never encountered anything like this." Wells smiled as a young golden retriever puppy in training bounced past them, its neural interface collar still too big for its small neck. "That's because you were looking for species to conquer, not friends to make." They entered the main control room, where dogs of all breeds worked alongside their human partners. Through the window, Gray could see the remains of his once mighty fleet being escorted to Earth's orbital shipyards, not as prizes of war, but as part of the peace agreement. "Your people have agreed to learn from us," Wells explained, noting Gray's gaze. "Not about weapons or combat, but about partnership, about trust." A small commotion drew their attention. One of Gray's junior officers, who had come aboard as part of the diplomatic team, was cautiously approaching Johnson's border collie, Mac. The alien's hand shook as he reached out. "It's okay," Johnson encouraged. "Mac's friendly. Just let him sniff your hand first." Gray watched in amazement as the border collie gently sniffed the alien hand, then pushed his head against it, asking to be petted. His officer's fear melted into wonder at the simple gesture of trust. "We were so wrong," Gray admitted, turning back to Wells. "We saw your relationship with dogs as a weakness, a sign of primitive behavior. But it's actually the most advanced thing we've ever encountered." Wells nodded, reaching down to scratch Rex's ears. Through the neural link, Gray could see the visible wave of joy and contentment that passed between human and dog. "The neural technology is impressive," Wells said, "but it only works because of something much older, thousands of years of friendship and trust." A group of children on a school tour passed by, each wearing a junior neural interface headset that let them share simple feelings with the therapy dogs that accompanied them. The pure delight on both human and canine faces made Gray's heart ache for what his civilization had missed. "That's why you won," Gray realized, "not because of superior technology or tactics. You won because every human-dog team fought to protect each other, to protect their bond. Our soldiers fought because they were ordered to. Yours fought for love." As if to demonstrate his point, Rex stood up and pressed his nose against Gray's hand. The alien commander froze, then slowly knelt down to the dog's level. Through a specially modified neural interface, he felt a tiny fraction of what the humans experienced. The simple, pure acceptance that dogs offered so freely. "Commander," Wells said softly, watching the interaction, "would you like to meet your own partner? We have a training program for diplomatic teams. Several dogs have already shown interest in working with your species." Gray looked up in surprise, all four eyes wide. "You would trust us with such a bond, after we tried to conquer you?" Wells smiled. "That's another lesson dogs taught us, Commander. They don't hold grudges. They're always ready to offer friendship to those who want it. In fact," he added with a grin, "there's a young Labrador puppy in training who reminds me a lot of you. Would you like to meet her?" As Gray nodded, still gently petting Rex, he understood that he hadn't just lost a battle. He had gained something far more valuable. His civilization had prided itself on conquering others, but now they would learn the true measure of advancement, the ability to form bonds of trust and friendship across species. The age of conquest was over. The age of partnership was just beginning.